This is my 5-step snatch checklist that you need to do to guarantee your next snatch PB. The single most important cue when it comes to the snatch, in my opinion, is making sure the weight stays in the center of the foot for the majority of the lift. If the weight transitions into our toes or our heels throughout this movement, it's going to take us off balance, which is going to create a higher chance of missing that lift. So as we set up for the snatch, we want to make sure that the weight is in the midfoot through the start position, into the hang, and up to the point before we go for that maximal extension phase of the snatch. So the next step we're going to take a look at is making sure, as we take that bar from the floor to the end of the first pull, which is just above our knee, we want our back angle to stay the same. So it's roughly going to be about a 45-degree angle. And as we previously said, we want to make sure the weight stays in the midfoot. If anything, treat this very much like a leg press. I'm pushing the floor away, maintaining the angle from hip to shoulder. At no point am I looking to lift my hips first or lifting my shoulders back. Maintain the angle until we get past the knee. The next thing we're going to take into consideration is making sure that we are not banging the bar off our hips, creating that bar coming away from the body, which is obviously going to increase the chances of missing that lift. What we want to try and think about is we're going to bring the bar into our hips and think about wrapping that bar around our hip crease. At no point do we allow that bar to come away from us. The cue that I like to use to reinforce this point is making sure that we're not bringing our hips into the bar. Instead, we're trying to think about bringing that bar into our hips and squeezing up tall, not looking to drive the hips into the bar. So when it comes to learning the snatch or trying to improve the way that we understand how to snatch, I like to try and simplify the movement. So we're going to treat the snatch very much the same as a vertical jump. So utilizing the points that we have just made, making sure the weight is in the midfoot, keeping the angle the same from the floor to the end of the first pull, and making sure the bar brings into our hips, not hips to bar. Once we get to that point, we are just going to go for a vertical jump, putting all those aspects together. So the movement is going to look a little bit like this. The bar wants to be against the shin, the weight is in the midfoot. I maintain this angle from hip to shoulder until I get to my hang position. I'm thinking about bringing the bar into my hips, keeping it nice and close, and at this point here is when we should jump, okay? And the whole way through this, the weight maintains in the midfoot. I'm not looking to try and come onto my toes. So in slow motion, we should look a little bit like this. So when we go for that jump, we want to actively think about pulling that bar in. There should be no daylight between you and that bar. Keep the bar close, maintain the weight in the midfoot. Final part of our snatch checklist is making sure as we receive that bar, we are being active in our arms. We are constantly thinking about punching that bar and staying strong in our arms, as opposed to just holding and catching, because this is going to create us to have that bend in our elbows or a soft position where we're going to drop the bar in front of us. So as we receive the bar in the snatch, think about snapping the elbows to really lock those arms. We're looking to try and punch that bar towards the ceiling. We do not want to try and catch, soften those arms.